This is part 5 of my book review of a fellow Minds.com user, Morphing Reality, one word. Military Facts and Fallacies, The Immortal Myths and Truths of Warfare by Patrick Zelinski. Very excellent book for the beginners, for history and military history, going into college. Definitely recommend it. It's small and concise and precise. And talking about precise, this particular chapter 3, deals with precision. The scope of war on page 20. The breakdown basically is how to guard against precision missiles and bombs. The argument begins This is what the author wrote on page 20, chapter 3. The claim is that larger bases, armies, tanks, carriers, missiles, etc. are the general and obvious trajectory for military affairs. It implies that the most destructive armaments are the most effective, which is clearly incorrect. Precision is arguably more important than power. I agree absolutely, especially regarding modern warfare. You talked about past uses of what we would now know called dumb bombs. Just dropping them out of airplanes, like in World War II, we had a carpet bomb. We would try to bomb a target. It would be two miles off. A couple of examples right now, currently, Hamas on the Gaza Strip has been firing inaccurate rockets into Israel on a regular basis, and Israel's Iron Dome anti-missile system. Regarding the inaccuracy of Hamas's missiles versus Iran's very potent guided missile forces, it's an interesting correlation. The Iron Dome system and Israel's new David Sling system has yet to be tested against actual precision missiles. Instead, Hamas they've been setting primitive floating firebombs with balloons to float over the Israeli border to burn down their crops, like ancient Sparta. This is all me talking here the last minute. Like ancient Sparta making its annual march across Greece to fight Athens back in the BC. Athens knew they were no match, and everyone took shelter within the city's walls, and Sparta took the opportunity to raise Athens' crops despite them every year. The fallacy on page 21, that smaller is better. The American military began to downsize its force structure to enable for a more nimble, ready strike force, capable of deploying anywhere in the world quickly. Since this strategic and tactical concept was employed successfully in the 2001 invasion of Afghanistan and the 2003 invasion of Iraq, the latter of which the United States used, sources vary, between 130,000 and 177,000 troops, along with allies, notably Britain, which sent 45,000 soldiers, Australia, which sent 2,000 soldiers, and my very good friend Mr. Poland contributed 194 Special Operations Forces during the initial invasion phase of Iraq in 2003. This relatively small expeditionary American-led army, being so quick to conquer and occupy Iraq, very much impressed our global adversaries here in 2018. Military leaders, policy creators in Russia and China were impressed by our success. Since 2003, for 15 years, they have been frantically trying their own military force structure modernization to be more like America's small, nimble, quick-to-strike capable force structure that we've adopted. World War II is the last war in which we see millions upon millions of troops clashing on the battlefields. drones, artificial intelligence, cyber operations. You touch on all of these in your book in a very clear way, and they are all relatively small facets of 21st century warfare. But as we have seen in America's perpetual global drone operations, from Afghanistan all the way to Africa, precision is key, and it scares the enemy. There are many anecdotal stories of top Taliban leaders in Afghanistan and Pakistan who have to switch houses multiple times every night to avoid being targeted by an American drone-fired volley of Hellfire missiles. They'll sleep in one house for 2 hours, they'll be woken up. They'll move to a different house across the city for 2 hours, they'll be woken up. They'll drive across the border into Afghanistan from Pakistan to sleep for 2 hours and then be woken up. Not a very fun life. Excuse me. Israel dropped a bomb on a key Hamas leader in the Gaza Strip while the man was riding his motorcycle. Talk about precision. And also deterrence building. But now Iran, Russia, and especially China have all invested heavily in developing their own precision-guided munitions, which is why we have been working so hard on missile defense. You hear that soundbite in the news a lot. Missile defense. What are we going to do about missile defense? This is why in Israel and the United States and Japan have been at the forefront of that. In China has been working on it regarding their A2D2 defensive strategy to keep our naval forces and our military forces as far from its border as possible using anti-ship missiles that travel thousands of miles per hour, and that some of which can be guided using precision. Russia has shown its capability in Syria to use precision-guided cruise missiles, and Iran is known to be the leading Middle Eastern state, other than Israel, regarding military technology, missile technology, precision missile technology to be exact. So that's the end of part 5 of my review of this book, Military History, by Patrick Zelinski. Hope this shed some light.